Hi, I am T.R. Edwards, and I am principal at River Valley High School, and we are here for another segment of Voice of the Valley. First off, before I start, I'd like to say thank you to, first of all, Dr. Michelle Johnston, who is continuing to partner with Guy County Local Schools, and those here at the University of Rio Grande. Want to thank them. Definitely want to thank the television studio staff here, and they're always gracious to invite us in and showcase some of the things that we're doing at River Valley High School. Definitely Jude Myers, our superintendent, he opened up the partnerships with the University of Rio Grande, and we appreciate that as well. So here today on the Voice of the Valley, we're going to feature a few of our students, and I have with me today Mrs. Allison Johnston, and Mrs. Johnston is the vocal music director for River Valley High School, as well as this is your second year as the musical director. So we're going to take a look today, and Ms. Johnston, hopefully you can tell us a little bit more about kind of where the program has come and some things to look forward to this year.
Okay. Well, this is my 5th year at River Valley High School, and I very much enjoyed it, but I've watched it grow so much over the last 5 years. I think when I walked in the door, there were about 6 kids in the program, and I was going, Mr. Edwards, where are all the kids? But anyway, so we have 24 in this beautiful audition show choir now, and they're awesome. We have a regular choir class going, and we are regularly trying to incorporate other things, like going to NoMEA contest, and we've been able to take a couple trips in the past few years to involve all the music students, and I just really think it's growing. It's going good places.
Right, and I would agree, and I know just last week I was hearing some beautiful voices coming out of the choir room. But before we go any farther, Ms. Johnston, also you're a graduate of Rio Grande, correct?
That's right. So I've lived in the county my whole life. I'm a 2008 graduate of Guy Academy, and I'm a 2012 graduate of Rio Grande, so I'm using my music degree in the county.
Great, great, and giving back to the kids and giving
Absolutely.
back to the community.
Absolutely.
And we definitely appreciate you at River Valley and the things that you've done and the things that you're able to do with our students. Talk a little bit about, I said that there were some beautiful sounds coming from the choir room last week. What did you do what did the show choir do last week?
Okay, so this past weekend we went to NoMEA contest. It's held at Shawnee State, and we took all of the choirs. So I took show choir and choir, put them together. We had just over 30 voices, I think.
Wow.
We were able to, they kind of scale you or rate you, I guess, from a 1 to a 5. 1's the best, 5's the worst. Obviously our goal is always a 1.
Right.
There's also that little lovely hint of sight reading in there that kind of helps that along. But anyway, so we started that 3 years ago. We got an excellent rating this year, and we have an excellent and superior already under our belt. So
nice.
We're really going somewhere.
Nice, great. Now, what is the benefit? We talked about going to NoMEA, and I know that marching band goes to NoMEA, but why would show choir go to an NoMEA competition?
I think this year especially, sometimes the times don't work out. They would get to hear other things, but I think it's good for them to go hear what else is happening in our little small, they call it our music district, District 17,
okay.
That there are other choirs out there. And I think especially for my choir program, sometimes they don't go to as many things, I guess, as the show choir does. They're not as exposed. So they need to know what great is.
Right, right, and definitely there were other schools there competing the same time you were, so you got to see a large range of what people are doing in the vocal music industry.
Yeah, absolutely. We were a little shocked this weekend. We got to see the Guy Academy Madrigals, who are wonderful, and we also got to see the Jackson Symphonic Choir, so they were very good.
Great, great. So I guess what other ways have you seen the program grow since you've been there at River Valley?
I think we found the right group of kids. I feel like a group of kids in the music department comes as a whole, and they're best friends, and they're there because they want to be there and they want to experience all these cool things. So it's a good thing.
Yeah, and you do have a great group of kids that you work with.
I do.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned a little bit ago about this whole sight reading thing.
Yeah.
And I know from my time as working with instrumental music as a student, the sight reading was kind of rough sometimes. So tell me a little bit about what does that mean? So not only do they prepare the songs for them to sing, but what is the other component?
Okay. So the preparation, I don't want to say that that's not the hard part, because that is hard, but obviously we get to continually practice that. When we walk into the sight reading room, myself and the kids are given a brand new piece of music.
So they've never seen it before at all?
No, none of us have. And so, you know, we try to work on the basic music skills, but you're still like, you know, unlike an instrumentalist who can kind of work on their instrument and hold that and play some music, we are opening our mouths to, uh-oh, this could be really bad. So it's a little intimidating for all of us, but we all just try to, you know, stick in it together. So.
Right. There's no tuning beforehand.
No. You never know what might happen in there.
Right. Okay, so we said that this year is your second year working with the musical department, and can you tell a little bit about maybe the history and the past musicals at River Valley?
Yeah, of course, I told you I am a 2008 graduate of Galley Academy, so I grew up in this county. I got to go to a lot of the River Valley musicals growing up, and as a Galley Academy person, I knew that what River Valley had was something totally different than what we have. You know, since we are able to have that drama program at our school every day as a class, that's really wonderful, and you could see that in the kids. Even as a high schooler, I could see that. So, and I know Cindy Graham has really worked so hard to make that something that has really grown over her 30 years. So, you know, that's just something different. And I feel like now, since, you know, I have a little bit of theater background and I have the music aspect, I do feel like it's still moving up.
Yeah. And then I know that Cindy's last year, she was in at the Ariel, and Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, and you two really had a partnership that year, and it was kind of passing the baton, so to speak. But I know the vocal part of it was outstanding, and definitely the drama aspect of it. It was a really fun show, and that was in at the Ariel Theater then. So we have a pretty good partnership with the Ariel.
Yeah, I think it's great that Cindy was able to use the Ariel or any other place to take the kids and show them a real auditorium space. So I think it's great for them to go in town and be exposed to not only the community, but, you know, just an actual place where we can go and perform that has curtains and a pit, and just it was really great.
Right, and I can hear Laura Snow right now in my ear saying it's the Ariel Theater.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So I apologize to Laura.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then there's so much historical aspect of the Ariel Theater that it makes it really neat venue to be in. So with us today, we have a few of students and participants in this year and last year's musical. So I'll let you go ahead and introduce who we have with us today.
All right, so we have Cole Franklin and Julie Nutter here. They're basically some leads in the musical this year. They're very excited. Do you want to tell us maybe your character names?
I'm Will Parker.
Okay.
And I'm Ado Annie.
So Will Parker and Ado Annie. So Mrs. Johnston, what is this year's musical?
This year we are doing Oklahoma. So we're pretty excited. We think it's a little bit different than last year.
Yeah. So let's go back and talk about last year a little bit. And I noticed they have matching purple shirts on today.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about, and you guys are welcome to join in, talk a little bit about last year's musical.
Last year's, that was my first year, actually, so it was kind of like getting into the ropes of like the musical performance and everything. And I mean, overall, it was really cool to be able to kind of see off of the seniors and see how they did stuff. I was a narrator, so I didn't have like crazy part, but I was a narrator and like just a townsperson, like ensemble. And then I was a wolf. So, I mean, I got some show time, but not as much as this year, so it's a big transition going into this year's musical.
Good. And then, Julia, what was your role in last year's musical?
Last year I was in the chorus and I was a wolf, and it was really fun. I was also in Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, and I was in the chorus then too.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is you guys are kind of starting out now that you're upperclassmen this year. You got a little taste of the musical, and then you must have really liked that taste, the experiences that you've gotten. So I hear there's a story with the wolf head that goes along with.
It was actually Ethan Browning that's who it was, and we had to pretty much like attack the beast pretty much. And he jumped on his back. Whenever he fell back, head went flying off. The crowd started laughing. He grabs his head, puts it over his face, and we just dragged him out by his feet. So.
Yeah, and then in live performances, that's definitely, you just have to roll with it. Once something happens, you go with it.
Yeah, it caught us off guard. So it was...
Good. So what are you guys excited about? You told what your parts were in Oklahoma this year, so you want to talk about some of the things maybe you're excited about, or a little bit about the musical this year?
There's a lot of like barn dancing and stuff, and I find that really cool. Like having the cowboy boots and being able to. One of my scenes, I get to I guess it's tap dance. It's pretty much tap dancing with cowboy boots, and I think that's just, I don't know, it's just cool to me.
Yeah, it's different. It seems like it definitely has a different feel.
Absolutely.
Than what last year's was, and that's a challenge. And I know that going from one type of musical to another, you really have to stretch as an actor, and you're pushing your kids to maybe find a different role inside them. So that's great. What about you, Julia?
I'm Ada Lanny, and I'm a really flirty girl, and it's kind of out of my comfort zone, so I think it's a good thing.
Good. So,
I think one of the cool things about Cole is that Cole wasn't in the music program until last year, and he randomly showed up for the musical, right? Yeah, because all his friends were there. Right. And in the meantime, we found out that, hey, Cole can sing. So, he's kind of found maybe a place where he likes to be, too.
Good.
And, show choir and everything really helped out with that. I don't think I would have been able to do this if it, just show choir and being able to sing, kind of on my own now.
Absolutely.
So, Cole, what was that one thing that made you want to be part of the musical?
I went and watched Seven Brides for Seven Brothers my freshman year. Yeah, my freshman year, and I don't know, just the whole aspect of, the whole acting and everything, it kind of just, brought it to my attention. Plus, all my friends were doing it and stuff, and they always told me good stuff about it.
Yeah, and I know from my experience, and probably from your experience being a part of musicals, is there's a lot of things outside of just on the stage that's a lot of fun and a lot of laughs. So it's a good experience. Do you want to tell a little bit about kind of the plot and what's happening in Oklahoma in case some of our viewers would want to come and see it?
Sure, we can do that. So I guess one of the things I want to talk about too is that we wanted to do a different musical this year. I think it's good last year we did a Disney, we did something more modern, and I think that's good for the kids too. It's good exposure for the community. But I also wanted to go back and do, something that was more, I don't want to say old, that's not the correct word. Traditional, that's the good word. Yeah, that's the good word. Because even some of the kids have said, this one's a little more serious than last year. And it is, but you want to show them that, character development and a few of those other things that are really important, especially even in their English classes.
Right, and that's definitely, I know whenever Mrs. Graham was working with them, she would really try to stretch students. And you're definitely building upon that of stretching them into different roles. And last year with Beauty and the Beast, that was appealing to some of the younger crowd.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think there was a lot of excitement with Beauty and the Beast, so hopefully have the same excitement this year. And also, I do want to say that this year our musical was going to be at the University of Rio Grande. We talked about our partnership with the Ariel Theater, but also this will be our second year. We'll be returning this year to the Fine Arts Building, and it's been a great partnership with the University of Rio Grande. We really appreciate their support and giving us the venue for our kids to perform.
Absolutely. I think it's good, like we talked about with the Ariel, to give them the experience of a real theater. And that one's different. The Ariel's a little more historic. This one, I guess you could say, is a little more modern, to show them different technical aspects. So pretty cool.
And then there's a difference in stage size and different elements that go along with it. I know that at the Ariel they have the natural acoustics and things like that, and there's some more options here at the University of Rio Grande for some of the technical aspect. So good. Also with us today we have two other members of this year's cast, and as you can see, they're also wearing Beauty and the Beast shirts, so they were in last year's production as well. So I'll let them introduce themselves. Go ahead and tell your name and what grade are you in, and how long have you been involved in the choir program?
Okay, so I'll go first. My name's Josie Jones, and I'm a junior this year. I got involved with show choir my sophomore year, and I've always been involved in the music program in my church, and that kind of led me to want to continue to further it. And sophomore year is when I really took off with it, I guess, and in show choir Phoenix, and then I was in Beauty and the Beast. I was just in the chorus last year, but it was a really good experience, and I had a fun time.
Yeah, I got started in the choir and musical program my freshman year. I was a little late getting to the auditions for show choir my freshman year, but my mom talked to Miss J and finally worked it out because she really wanted me to do it. And I'd never been uncomfortable with crowds and stuff, and she always said I could sing well, so I decided to give that a shot, and I just really enjoyed it since then.
Yeah. So Josie, you were in a part of the chorus last year, you said, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And then what was your role last year, Ian?
I was Lumiere last year. I was the candlestick.
And you had some fun with that.
Yeah, it was lots of fun.
Good deal. Do you guys have any things that stand out about last year's musical to you, or any fun, interesting facts? No, just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I know. You would go around school talking in the accent a lot last year.
Yeah.
You had to work it in.
Everybody had a lot of fun with it. So what are your roles in this year's musical?
This year I'm playing Lori. She's basically a spunky farm girl in Oklahoma in the early 1900s, and she's very outgoing and outspoken for a girl, especially at the time, but that's just who she is. She's really outgoing, and she knows what she wants.
So in some aspects, it's not that much of a stretch for you. I know you're very involved in FFA, maybe that outspoken part. So.
Yeah, public speaking's definitely played a big role into this and helping me with the musical performance, both aspects of it. So.
Right, good, great. Yep. Ian, what is your role this year?
Yeah, I play Curly McLean in this musical, and he is basically a cowboy, and he's really, really sure of himself, very confident, and he likes to stand up for what's right, and he's also the best bulldogger in 17 counties.
So what work have you guys done so far in preparing for this year's? Miss Johnston, where are you at in the process? I know that this takes a while for everything to unfold, and there's a lot of work, hours and hours that go into it. Where are you at in the process so far?
I guess, so we sort of work on the music first, then we kind of do the acting, we kind of do those separate for a while, and we're now to the point where we've kind of started to put them together. That's a little rough currently, but, and then we've also made a phone call to the French Art Colony, to Maggie Jackson, and she's been helping us with a little bit of the choreography actually this past weekend.
Great. And speaking of the French Art Colony, that's another great partnership that we have in the community.
Absolutely.
And they're really great to work with. I know that with our Arts Council, the Gay County Local Schools Arts Council, we do our annual gala there and our art show along with that. So they're great partners in that. So I guess what kind of other things have you done with the choir groups, the show choir group, the musical groups since you've been at River Valley?
We started taking a few trips a couple years ago. We try to do that every couple of years. So we've gone to New York, we've gone to Chicago, we've done the OMEA large group every year, we've done solo and ensemble. That's good for them. I know several of these guys have taken solos there and kind of are able to get a rating back individually more so than as a large group. We've started the COPA production in the fall, so that's pretty steady. The other thing is the gala. We do that every year. I think that's a lot. We got a Christmas tour.
And that's what I was going to mention. I know this past Christmas season you go on a tour every year. Can you talk a little bit about the tour and the opportunities that these students get going on the tour, and then what that also does to your program for going to the elementary schools?
So anytime that we are able to do a production of any sort and invite the community in, obviously that's our form of recruitment, but one of the best forms of recruitment is going to see the elementary school kids because they're so excited to see pretty dresses and pretty kids, and they sing songs that they know, and we sing Christmas tunes with them, and we try to get them interacting with us, and it kind of inspires them to want to be a part of it when they get there.
Right, right. Have you, any of your students that came in, have they referenced whenever you came to the schools?
Well, this is only year 5 for me, so I'm not quite there yet.
Not quite there
but,
yet.
you know, several of these kids I've just seen, you know, been involved. They came to the musical. Just that sort of thing really helps too.
Right, right. And in the word of mouth. And like Cole had said earlier, whenever their friends are involved and it's a fun atmosphere, then they enjoy being involved in it. So maybe we could go back to Ian and Josie. What kind of things have you guys seen? How have you seen the program grow? What have been some good experiences that you've gotten out of being involved in the vocal program?
So I guess my sophomore year, it was the first time I've ever done anything like that. Like, I'd sing at church sometimes, which was kind of a different environment, I guess. And then in show choir, getting to go up in front of larger groups of people really challenged me to be more outgoing and more comfortable, I guess, on stage in front of people. And it gave me a lot of confidence, I guess, with that. So that was a really good experience to see my confidence and how I would get more comfortable being in front of large groups of people. And I also made a lot of good friends through show choir, and it's fun to just go through the long practices with everyone together. And when everyone's together, it makes it a lot more fun. So it was a good way to get more confident and build some good friendships.
And at least you didn't say long practices, Ms. Johnston.
Hey, we still want to produce a nice product at the end.
Right.
So.
And it is a very nice product. What about you, Ian?
Yeah, I'd say she hit the biggest point with just growing in your confidence, and you start to get you build some really great friendships through it. And especially if you would go to the show choir camp of America or something. I never went, but I know some friends who went, and they loved it. They really liked the atmosphere. And it was really cool to see it progress, because whenever I got in as a freshman, it was a really senior heavy group, and we keep proving myself wrong and lots of others, because we think like, oh my gosh, we're losing so many seniors, it's going to be a little sketchy, but it's still, if we work hard enough, it's still just as good as it was. So it's really,
That's true. As a teacher, you wonder what's going to happen at the end of each year, but so far so good.
They've stepped up each
That's
year.
right.
Great. Now, I do want to ask this. Whenever I was hearing you get ready, prepare for large group, I noticed that not everything was in English. So can you talk a little bit about maybe, Miss Johnston, how do you go through and it's kind of probably a step for some of them to sing in things in another language.
Of course, all of them roll their eyes at me and say, do we have to do that? But they don't have to, but I like to expose them just to that aspect, because a lot of them are never exposed to that. So this year we did a piece in Spanish, and it's just, it's just a same process as any of the other songs that we learn, and we just take it slow and we make it happen.
So it's definitely a learning experience for them.
Yeah.
And the articulation of the different languages, I'm sure.
And
is a
actually,
challenge.
sometimes it's easier, to
Really?
be honest with you. Yeah, because I don't have to fix all of our Southern Ohio accents. I just ask you to be Spanish or Italian or whatever.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So I guess input from you guys. I know, Josie, you had kind of, I won't say a solo, but you were up front with a small group at the contest.
Yeah.
How was that? Was that nervous? Were you nervous with that?
Yeah, I always get a little bit nervous when I go up in front of people, but it gets easier and easier every time that I do it, I think. So just making myself uncomfortable, putting myself out there, it helps a lot, and it's always a good experience. I learn something from every solo or little piece that I have, something that I can improve or work on for the next time. So,
Ian, do you see yourself doing or being part of music beyond high school?
yeah, I've actually thought about it, because I have not fully set on what I'd like to do in college. I really do like the film production aspect and stuff, like what's going on right now. I think that's super cool, but I really do enjoy it. I just love it so much, and I probably would get involved outside of high school if I could.
Great.
Many.
So, do you want to talk a little bit about, here in closing, with the venue here at the University of Rio Grande and the benefits of being at the University of Rio Grande?
Sure. So first of all, our show is going to be April 6th and 7th here at the University of Rio Grande. It's at 7 o'clock. You can purchase tickets at River Valley High School, or we can now purchase them online at rivervalley.ludus.com. So you can do that
And I
anytime.
noticed today that was LUDUS.
D-U-S.
D-U-S, yes.
Yes. So that's live. You can do that anytime. I guess we're excited to use the venue. We have a lot of involvement right now. Like, I was adding up t-shirt sales today, and I was over 50 between my students and the orchestra, which we started last year, doing a live full orchestra.
Wow.
Just with the help of some community members that, you know, either myself knows or any of the other people. So we really like that, and because we are using the University of Rio Grande, there's space for them underneath there in the pit, and kind of doesn't obstruct anyone else's view. So.
And I know last year, whenever they started out with the overture, it was a beautiful sound coming from
the orchestra kind of joked last year. They think they could have charged $1 every time someone came around to look and see that they were really playing live music. Yeah,
right.
So.
It did sound that great.
It was neat.
Yeah. So I guess in closing, hope to see everybody come out for the show this year. And anything else you guys would like to add before we close?
It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a lot different from the happy Disney musical that we had last year.
Yep. It'll be
But
a lot
also,
of fun.
it sounds like it's a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to seeing Cole and his tap dancing cowboy boots at this year's musical. So again, I am T.R. Edwards, and today we are featuring members of our musical group and show choir members with Allison Johnston, the vocal music director. And thank you for joining us for Voice of the Valley.